Welcome back to the channel. This is Life as We Know It. Hope everybody is doing great. If you haven't already, please be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. We truly appreciate it. Also, if you haven't seen part 1 of the doc, I definitely recommend jumping into that first before jumping into part 2. There is some stuff you're gonna miss, so you might want to get the context so you can see everybody locked up. But not to waste too much time, let's jump right into it. Jumping into the next rapper on our list is Muwop. Muwop is a Chicago rapper. He's associated with Lil Durk. He's associated with King Von and being a part of O Block. He's mentioned on plenty of lyrics. Is known for being in the cut and being the one to usually shoot things up. He was also in the video the night that King Von passed away. I'm not going to post that footage, but there is footage of him there the night that King Von passed. But jumping right into the court documents by the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Northern District of Illinois, it says superseding indictment charges additional defendant with federal racketeering offenses and murder of Chicago rapper. Now, if you don't know, they're being charged for killing FBG Duck. It says the federal superseding indictment unsealed today charges a 6 alleged member or associate of the O Block street gang with participating in criminal organization that murdered a Chicago rapper and violently protected the street gang in its territories on the south side of Chicago. The original indictment alleges that the O Block gang publicly claimed responsibility for acts of violence in Chicago and used social media and music to increase their criminal enterprise. The O Block gang allegedly engaged in numerous acts of violence, including the murder of Carlton Weekly, Chicago rapper also known as FBG Duck, on August 4th, 2020. Now, when they say that they furthered it with music, I'm guessing they're probably referencing songs like Shoulda Ducked, where it's pretty clear that Durk and them claim responsibility for it, which I still don't understand why, especially considering that the feds are really hot. They're investigating a lot of rappers right now, so it never made sense to me. But continuing with the article, Ralph Turnpin, also known as Tall and Teasy, of Chicago, has been added to the case, charged with 1 count of committing murder in aid of racketeering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder in aid of racketeering. Turpin's initial appearance occurred today before Magistrate Judge Sunil R. Harjani. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Turpin is currently in federal custody and a detention hearing has been set for April 12, 2023. And then it goes on, charging an original indictment in October 2021 for committing murder in aid of racketeering and conspiracy to commit murder in aid of racketeering of Chicago residents Charles Lingens, also known as C Murder, 30, Kenneth Robertson, also known as Kenny or Kenny Mac, 28, Todd Carlson, Offer, also known as Lowe's, 30, Christopher Thomas, also known as C Thang, 22, and Marcus Smart, also known as Muwop, 22. The indictment also charges the original defendants with the federal firearm violations and assaults in aid of racketeering. The indictment was announced by Morris Pascal, acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Chicago. I'm not going to read the rest, but long story short, they pretty much got hit with an indictment, a RICO. They took down the entire gang. I know there was rumors and it was alleged that King Von placed a $100,000 hit on FBG Duck for his murder to take place. Now, I'm not going to make jokes. I'm not going to make light about it, but to kill someone for $100,000, I'm not saying that's not a lot of money to receive at once, but it's not necessarily life-changing money to spend the rest of your life in prison behind. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight this one as well, and we'll keep going down the list. Go Yayo is a Fort Worth, Texas rapper who's been associated with Soulja Boy. He's on Say Cheese all the time. He's constantly in the media, really funny guy, really entertaining. Never heard his music, but really entertaining when you see him on interviews. He's had issues with the law before for previous gun cases where 5 different instances, usually he's released on bond. However, for his most recent charge, he went on a high-speed chase with Texas police. He filmed it on Instagram Live, posted it for the world to see, and now he's been ordered to serve a total of 41 months. At the time of his arrest, he was already out on bond for the different gun charges, and pretty much the feds picked him up for his most recent gun charge. He says he'll be home soon, but he was faced with 20 years previously for attempted murder. He's a pretty wild guy, but we'll jump into the clip and then we'll react about him.
Damn, cuz, which one you rat ass police ass niggas that cop laws on me or something, nigga? Got 5 motherfucking laws following me, nigga. You police ass, snitch ass niggas. Niggas hoes, nigga. On my mama, nigga, I'm gonna be out in the morning. Niggas bitches, nigga. You talking about, nigga, I'm smoking dope, nigga, fuck them. Suck my.
So that's pretty wild. I mean, anybody that's going on a high-speed chase and filming it, you definitely need to be questioning what you're doing. Why are you committing crimes and filming them for the world to see, or just any of that sort of stuff, especially with the weed in Texas. Texas is not legal federally or state-wise for weed, so I'm sure that may be an additional charge, especially if they find it. Maybe he got rid of it so they didn't, but all in all, I think this is just another example of a rapper that probably should take some time, figure it out, and try to separate himself from the streets. But let's keep going down the list. Bankroll Freddie is an Arkansas artist that is signed to QC. He's done songs with Lil Baby. I've seen him in videos with 42 Doug, James Harden. He's definitely in the inner circle of QC, one of the artists that they project to be up next. He's best known for his series Trap to Rap, which includes Trap to Rap 1 and Trap to Rap 2. But Bankroll Freddie was actually locked up on federal gun and drug charges across, or a part of a major federal trafficking bust. Jumping right into the article by Billboard, Bankroll Freddie was arrested in Jonesboro, Arkansas on Wednesday, November 9th as part of a major federal drug and gun bust conducted across the state. The rapper, born Freddie Gladney III, and his father, Freddie Gladney Jr., were among more than 45 people swept up in the action, according to a copy of the federal indictment. The indictment claims that from March of 2021 through October of 2022, the defendants allegedly conspired to distribute and possess cocaine, crack cocaine, methamphetamines, marijuana, and then Freddie possessed an arsenal of weapons that included at least 3 9mm pistols, 2 rifles, and machine guns in furtherance of the drug crime. Prosecutors claim that Gladney and their co-conspirators allegedly trafficked guns and drugs across Arkansas, Texas, California, Arizona, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Oklahoma, and that the arrests were the culmination of 3 different investigations, according to the Associated Press. And a statement was released from the U.S. Attorney's Office regarding that 2 FBI investigations into drug violence and drug trafficking, separate DEA investigation on colored methamphetamine and fentanyl were being mailed from California into Arkansas and then distributed into Little Rock, Pine Bluff, and Houston. Weapons include machine guns, cash, drugs. So ultimately, he was pretty much caught up. He was arrested for drug and gun charges. He's probably gonna do 10 years in what I'm thinking. I know he wasn't released on bond, and he's facing at least 11 different charges. So we'll see what happens. Let's keep going down the list. Rio the Young OG is a Flint, Michigan artist who began to rise in about 2020 during the pandemic. Him and a bunch of other artists from Michigan, whether it be Detroit, whether it be Flint, they were all on Lil Yachty's project. They were dropping like crazy, blowing up on YouTube. But unfortunately, Rio had to go sit down. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, according to Pitchfork's article. The Flint rapper pled guilty to possession of a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. Rio the Young OG, the Flint, Michigan rapper who released City on My Back last year, was sentenced Wednesday to 5 years in prison for a charge related to a 2019 arrest over possession of a gun with intent to distribute controlled substances. In an Instagram story, Rio said he'll begin his sentence in summer 2021. According to Michigan federal court documents viewed by Pitchfork, Rio was named in a February 2019 grand jury indictment that charged the rapper with conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute and to distribute cocaine base and heroin. He was named alongside 5 other people. In February of 2020, Rio reached a plea deal that waived the indictment in favor of a guilty plea. Ultimately, he pled guilty to possession of a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime and agreed to a 60-month sentence. The federal sentencing took place yesterday. This is an old article, so it didn't take place yesterday. A sentencing memorandum filed January 1st notes Rio's minimal criminal history, 2 marijuana offenses, his strong employment record. He worked full-time at Chrysler for over 3 years, and his lucrative music career. It's not certain that Rio's participation in this offense was easier or more lucrative than working for Chrysler, and whether the decision to enter into the conspiracy was driven by his familiar relationship relationship with one of the co-defendants, a desire to attain more street credibility for his nascent music career, or some other reason, but it has had a negative effect on his community and on Rio himself. U.S. Attorney Matthew Schlitner wrote, please excuse me if I butchered that name. In an interview last month, Rio said he was hoping for probation or an early release because his record has been clean while he's been out on bond for the past 2 years. He wrote about the sentence in an Instagram story post today. Not today, this is an older story, probably from 2019, 2020. I'm doing 5 years for some shit I didn't know I was going on, but I take full responsibility because I know what comes with this street shit, he wrote. Thank you, God, for putting me through this situation because it really opened up my eyes and showed me how to deal with people. So ultimately, Rio was sentenced to 5 years. It seems like it was a federal charge, so he's probably going to have to serve the bulk of that time. I was a Rio fan, so it was sad to see him go away, but you can't have a firearm, and in this case, it sounds like maybe he didn't know what was going on. Maybe he was just playing his part, but the list continues. Let's go on to the next person. Hood Rich Pablo Juan is an Atlanta artist who signed to 1017 Records. He's collaborated with Gunna, Gucci, the list goes on, but he was arrested and sentenced to 15 years after reaching a plea deal in his RICO case. Hood Rich Pablo Juan is associated with the Hood Rich gang, and he was pretty much sentenced to 15 years for his alleged role in violating the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act as part of the Rolling 20s neighborhood Bloods. However, Hood Rich Pablo Juan's deal means he will only serve 5 years behind bars, and the rest of his remaining sentence he will see on strict probation, which will ban him from associating with any gang members or possessing handguns. The former 1017 Eskimo signee was arrested in Georgia in October 2020 as part of a larger gang investigation on RICO charges and was denied bond as he should be eligible for credit on his time served. He was among 46 alleged co-conspirators facing an indictment on 92 counts of racketeer influence and corrupt organized act, 59 counts of violating the Georgia Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act, 3 counts of trafficking methamphetamine, 3 counts of trafficking heroin, 4 counts of kidnapping, 4 counts of murder, and 24 counts of aggravated assault. The 33-year-old has stayed busy while incarcerated and has released 3 new projects since being locked up in 2020. Most recently, Hood Rich Pablo Juan teamed up with Lil CJ Casino for their Hood Rich Pablo Casino mixtape. Now, my thoughts on this, I heard a story, another YouTube blogger, I can't remember the name at the moment, I'm blanking, but it was pretty much about the Hood Rich gang in like Lithonia, Georgia, East Atlanta, Georgia, and they were pretty much doing like home invasions and stuff like that. I'm not saying this is what he was a part of, but that is what I heard about the RICO, so maybe he's attached to that. It does sound like he's going to be sitting down for a very long time on a state RICO. It's actually the same state RICO that Young Thug, Donald Trump now, and Gunna have all been hit with. So yeah, he's already been sentenced. He took the plea deal, so I guess in at least 5 years we'll see him. But let's keep going. Next on the list. Maine Music is a Baton Rouge rapper. He's part of a group, Maine and Tech. They've been around for a while, signed with all type of people, been in the industry. I want to say they're now independent. They've had to be in the industry over 10 years. However, Maine Music was sentenced to 7 years in prison for possessing a firearm illegally. Jumping right into it on the U.S. Attorney's page for the Middle District of Louisiana, Baton Rouge rapper was sentenced to federal prison for illegally possessing a firearm. This was written December 4th, 2019. U.S. Attorney Brandon J. Freeman announced that the U.S. District Judge John W. DeGravis, hope I pronounced that correctly, I probably didn't, sentenced DeMarcus Davis, age 26, of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to 75 months in federal prison following his conviction of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The court further sentenced Davis to 3 years of supervised release following his term of imprisonment and ordered that the firearm involved be forfeited. According to admissions made as part of the guilty plea on August 18, 2018, the Livingston Parish Sheriff's office was conducting a sobriety check on Highway 42. Davis' vehicle was swerving as it entered the screening line, almost striking a metal guardrail, and Davis was seen reaching towards the floorboard under entering the screening line. Davis' speech was rambling, his hands were shaking, and his travel plans did not make sense. Detectives observed a pineapple Fanta soft drink in the console that appeared to contain a controlled substance, probably referring to lean. Davis did not have a driver's license and admitted to being on probation for possession of codeine syrup. What did I say? Lean. After Davis provided verbal consent to search the vehicle, deputies noticed a plastic panel on the driver's side, lower middle console that appeared to be broken or loose. Upon removing the plastic piece, a loaded F9 Model 5.7 millimeter handgun was located. Prior to possessing the firearm, Davis was convicted in East Baton Rouge Parish in March of 2017 of possession of codeine. In November 2014 of simple robbery. U.S. Attorney Freeman stated the conviction and sentence is the result of keen law enforcement and prosecution to ensure our district is free from convicted felons who illegally possess firearms. I want to thank our prosecutor, blah, blah, blah. So, long story short, he was pretty much caught with a firearm. He's been arrested multiple times, and because of his criminal record, they handed him 7 years. So, it's unfortunate, but let's keep going down the list. Psycho Bob is an artist that signed to Kodak Black's record label Sniper Gang Records. He emerged on the scene in 2021 with the project Sniper Gang Presents Psycho Bob and Snapcat Nightmare Babies. This was also the same project that featured Kodak Black's single Super Gremlins. Now, I'm going to be honest, I listened to this project and it was absolutely horrible. The best song, biggest standout song on this was Super Gremlins. And outside of this, I know absolutely nothing about Psycho Bob and his music. But Psycho Bob was sentenced to 5 years in prison following for gun possession. According to the article on Hot New Hip Hop, the Florida rapper pleaded guilty in December of last year to a charge of gun possession. Following a January arrest, he signed to Kodak Black's Sniper Gang Collective and is now serving 5 years behind bars. The Florida rapper Campbell Smart pleaded guilty to a charge of gun possession back in December of 2022. While not many details surrounding this case came out, it followed a January 2022 traffic stop at around 3 a.m. During this pullover for speeding on I-75 in Collier County, Florida, a Florida Highway Patrol trooper found a bag of marijuana and a loaded gun. Furthermore, Hip Hop DX discovered jail record copies showing alleged charges of a DUI, carrying a concealed gun, possession of a controlled substance without a prescription, possession of more than 20 grams of marijuana, and a possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon. As of writing this article, Kodak Black has yet to respond to these developments on social media. However, given their close collaboration, hopefully the label boss is supporting his artist in any way possible through the tough time. Unfortunately, it's the most dangerous headline Psychos had to face. So this is probably the only headline I've ever seen Psycho Bob on, the only thing I've ever really heard him for. I don't really know too much about him, like I previously said, other than he signed to Kodak Black. And I still haven't heard Kodak Black as of today mention anything about Psycho Bob and his current standing. I'm guessing probably because Kodak has his own legal issues that he's currently facing. So, we're wishing the best for both of them, and we'll see what happens. Let's go on to the next rapper. Fujiano is another rapper from Atlanta. He signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 Records, which I don't know. I know he's restarted a couple times, but shout out to Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane is responsible for a lot of artists in Atlanta, and I know most of the time people take advantage of the opportunity to be around him, to be around his greatness, his musical genius, and even just the connections around him. However, rapper Fujiano was recently indicted for a 2020 gun charge. According to this article, an Atlanta-based rapper who was performing at Greenville's Lavish Lounge the night of a mass shooting faces a federal firearms charge after prosecutors said he illegally brought a handgun and ammunition into the club. Kwame Brown, known by his stage name Fujiano, is a convicted felon, is accused of bringing a .40 caliber Glock handgun and rounds into Lavish on July 4th, 2020, when a shooting left 2 people dead and 8 others wounded. According to the Assistant U.S. Attorney Justin Holloway, after Fujiano entered the club that night, Holloway said he gave the handgun and ammunition to a member of his security team who is also a convicted felon. Sheesh. The person faces a federal firearms charge, though the name was redacted from the indictment. Neither Fujiano nor the unnamed member of his security team are accused in the indictment of opening fire that night. A warrant for the entertainer's arrest was issued on November 9th while he was being held at the Athens-Clarke County Detention Center in Georgia on other charges. He was arraigned in federal court in Greenville on December 13th, according to the court records. Jarquez Cooper of Athens, Georgia, was arrested shortly after the shooting and charged with 2 counts of murder, 7 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of possession of a firearm during a violent crime. The shooter remains under investigation. Mikhail Bella, a 23-year-old mother of 2, and 53-year-old Clarence Sterling, who was working as a security guard at Lavish during Fujiano's performance, were killed during the night. Authorities have said neither were involved in the altercation that prompted the shooting. Fujiano has requested to return to custody in Georgia as his case it's been weighed through court. His public defender did not return a call. This article was written before Fujiano was sentenced, but ultimately Fujiano was released on bail and essentially was arrested again because he cut his ankle monitor off and went on the run. Was really stupid, didn't make any sense, especially because the other man involved said that he would take the gun charge. So Fujiano ultimately was sentenced to 5 years for cutting an ankle monitor for a charge that someone else was going to take for him. Doesn't make any sense, really backwards. Like I said, you were around Gucci Mane, you had the opportunity to learn, grow, utilize the connections. Really unfortunate that he didn't and now he's locked up. But let's continue. Glock 9 is an Orlando, Florida rapper who is signed to, which really surprised me, Cash Money and Republic Records. He has been in the music scene since about 2017, 2018. He's made a bunch of songs. I know my favorite and my most memorable song of Glock 9 is 223s with him and YNW Melly. But he was sentenced to 7.5 years. According to the Hip Hop DX article, the Cash Money rapper Glock 9 sentenced in federal firearms case. Cash Money Records rapper Jaquavia Smith, better known as Glock 9, has reportedly been sentenced in his federal firearms case. According to the Click Orlando, the known Orlando area gang member was sentenced to more than 7 years in prison after pleading guilty to 3 weapons charges. Smith was arrested in 2020 for possessing a gun as a convicted felon and was denied bond after a judge deemed him a danger to society. Smith was ultimately indicted on multiple federal firearms charges in February and pleaded guilty to 3 counts. 5 months later, possession of unregistered firearms, using another person's identity, and committing a crime while pre-trial release. Court documents show Smith will serve 87 months in a federal prison, 3 years of supervised release, and drug treatment. He will also have to pay $10,416 in restitution. But that's just the tip of the iceberg for Smith. He's still facing racketeering charges in state court, where his trial scheduled for March 2022, as well as charges of attempted second-degree murder. In January, investigators accused the rapper of firing a gun in an Orlando home in July 2020 as he was attempting to target another local rapper. A woman was inside with her children at the time, but no one was injured. A witness told detectives Glock 9 wants to be the only rapper coming from Orlando. Now, to me, this is crazy, especially like I said previously, you're an artist signed to a record label, not just any record label, a legendary record label, Cash Money Records. Lil Wayne, Drake, Nicki Minaj. Do I have to go on? The list is ridiculous. But unfortunately, he decided to do drive-bys and other crimes, and now he's locked up for 7.5 years within the feds. It's also worth mentioning that not only is Glock 9 in the feds, but he's in the same federal jail that Fujiano and Psycho Bob are all locked up in. They even have a nice photo floating around currently on social media with the 3 of them linking up in prison. OMB Bloodbath is a rising Houston, Texas star that has recently been convicted for an alleged gang murder related to a RICO charge down in Texas. Jumping right into the article by Double XL, OMB Bloodbath's trial date has been set for the alleged gang murder. OMB Bloodbath is facing racketeering charge for her alleged role in a gang-related murder. According to the documents obtained by Double XL, OMB Bloodbath is accused by prosecutors in Houston of violating the state's RICO Act while being a part of the 103 Street Gang and allegedly helping to facilitate the murder of Sam Johnson in October of 2017. The 4Me rapper was charged with aiding and abetting violent crimes and aid of racketeering activity. The trial date has been set for OMB Bloodbath's RICO case. Jury selection is expected to begin on August 7th, 2003. Pending trial motions and conferences scheduled between July 3rd and July 31st, 2023. In their criminal case, Houston prosecutors alleged that Bloodbath financed, directed, and supervised the commission of a murder through phone conversations with other members of the Third Ward Gang while incarcerated at Harris County Jail in Texas. Those phone conversations were lawfully recorded under Harris County jurisdiction and intercepted by federal authorities. According to court documents on October 15, 2017, Harris County Jail recorded a phone conversation between Nix and the gang leader to inform him about her upcoming recording deal and stated that she will pay the youngins to shoot. Before the call ended, she told him, "You're going to have to do some good news. You're going to have some good news in the morning when you turn on Channel 13. On October 16, 2017, Sam Johnson was shot and killed by several men and was found by police lying in the front yard of a residence in Houston. Houston police would later obtain video footage of the murder from surveillance cameras nearby the murder scene. Investigators stated that the video showed 4 men in a Mazda vehicle later determined to be stolen, driving by and immediately shooting at Johnson and killing him. The 4 men jumped out the Mazda and fled on foot after crashing into a ditch. The group then stole another car while a woman and her infant were out of an idling car. All 4 men were later arrested for the shooting. Additionally, Houston police would later obtain a warrant to search through the Instagram DMs of the suspected gunman and found conversations with Bloodbath that allegedly tied her to the shooting. OMB Bloodbath was signed to Interscope Records in a partnership label with Laverne, which is home to Black and Summer Walker. She released an EP titled Remedies Up to Infinity in September of 2022. Now, OMB Bloodbath is sitting in jail right now. Her trial has started, but there's no sentencing quite yet as the trial is still ongoing. So we'll see what happens with her. A-Rab is a Philadelphia rapper who's also a co-founder and member of the label and group OBH, Original Block Hustlers, with his fellow member Dark Low. He's also been shouted out by Drake, Meek Mill, and Gilly the Kid, even though he doesn't have any charting songs or anything like that. On YouTube, he's best regarded as being the self-snitching king. You can literally go on YouTube and just type in A-Rab snitching compilations and find videos of this man telling on himself. Let's check one out.
Man, come see us, man. I swear to God, you come down this block, your shit gonna get filled up with so much fucking smoke. Nobody gonna make it off the fucking block. You come down this block, is nobody gonna make it off this fucking block, man. I promise you, you won't make it off this motherfucking block, man. Anyway. On everything I love, you come up on us, man, you're not gonna make it. Niggas gonna blow your shit clean off, man. This is my little big brother right here.
He got shot in the head twice. Killed the nigga in the same night.
This nigga gang. This nigga Kelp probably bigger than my drink, man. I'm keeping it on your yard.
And I'm a little nigga.
This nigga Kelp something serious, man. I already took 13 shots, nigga. Nigga. And I don't know what it's for. You know why? Because I kidnapped niggas. I robbed niggas. I killed niggas. I got a lot of shit I did.
You know, like a shoot and run, like that's a very serious situation. Like I'm assuming you know who the person is.
Actually,
that sounds very personal.
Actually, I never really found out who shot me because, well, I've been into a lot of shit. So I keep it all real. I robbed a couple niggas, took some bricks from some people recently, right? Well, actually, I was selling somebody some crack, and I was serving somebody some crack. I mean, I'm gonna get it. I'm the type of dude, I can't be broke. You see, I got this whole building, I'll fix this shit up from what? I don't make no money off rap. I extort people. I extort motherfuckers too. It's one of my hustles. Got shot a lot of times behind it, but it's
paid my own houses and shit. They paid. It's called Badlands. I was coming out there. There was somebody at the corner wanting to buy an ounce of crack off me. So I'm coming out the crib, ready to serve my ounce of crack. But they coming from my side. Like they driving my side, say, meet me on this block. You know what I'm saying? So I come out the curb, I see the boy Dutch like, yo, Abby shooting the DVD going, man. I seen Dark Low. I'm like, this nigga shooting the DVD, this nigga got a beard. Nigga looking like a gangster ass nigga, like, what the fuck type shit is this? So long story short, they had to put the camera out. I'm like, yo, I gotta bust a trap. Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? I was always selling drugs and shooting motherfuckers, man, the whole time. That's why I went to jail. You see, it's about 20 savages out there. I run all of them. They listen to what the fuck I say. They killed me. Some of them shot motherfuckers yesterday. Man, no Brace Bryce go back years. And listen, y'all know who he is. This is my little brother, Skinny Me. The notorious Skinny Me. That boy about 130 pounds of horror. I know this for a fact, man. And guess what? This is what I like about Skinny Me. This is what I like about Skinny Me music, man. It's just raw. And it's like reality rap.
The mafia.
Skinny Me will go through a situation, and guess what? It's gonna be in the song. He's gonna make a song about it the same day. So I know that's why I feel it so much. I know it.
A reckless anthem.
When he said I killed the nigga and I did that, I seen him do it. When he said somebody try to drop on me and I wrestled him out for the
man.
and I seen him do it. I know he did it for a fact. Also, I had a job. I done shot niggas and everything. I'm still going to work. Everybody can shoot. Nobody likes getting shot. So while they shoot, you stand there and look at them. You give it back. You see the fucking fear in their eyes. It gets out of here. Then you go to their block. Go to their block again tomorrow. In the morning. Then in the afternoon. Then at nighttime. Then you get phone calls. Hey, I quit. I don't want no more. Y'all niggas with you. Alright, don't ever come around here again. We ain't got no picks, man.
Most likely me, I beat
Like, I don't give a fuck if a nigga kid 1 or 40. I don't give a fuck about a nigga mom, pop.
We come to daycares.
That's the art of war, man. You hear me? I don't care about none of it. We ain't got no picks over this joint, man. I don't wanna hit a nigga where it hurt. It's one thing about me. Call it on. I'm gonna hit you where it hurt. I promise you, man. Put that on my mom's soul. History lesson. I went to war with the most dangerous people in my neighborhood. I went to their block, and we came to their block, and there was 6 of us. We was gonna murder everybody on the corner, right? I didn't know one of my friends was on the corner, and we fired on the corner. And guess who's on the corner? One of my friends was on the corner. I fired on. Turn the camera that way. No Brace Bryce was on that corner.
Facts.
What happened, No Brace Bryce?
Man, them niggas let that shit fly. And I got the fuck out of there. I'm keeping it beam, man. You know, Allah was with me. You know what I'm saying? Because them boys was about 7, 8 deep. And I looked one way, I looked the next. And they was lined in the middle of the street, throwing the shit. I ducked down, rolled, kicked the motherfucking door.
That is just a little bit of footage of the Self-Snitching King. If you want to see more, I do recommend just going on YouTube and searching for compilations. But jumping right into the Attorney General's office, or the U.S. Attorney's office for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, it says the leader of Philadelphia drug trafficking gang and rap artist, Original Block Hustler, sentenced to 45 years in prison. Acting U.S. Attorney Jennifer Williams announced that Abdul West, 38, which is pretty much ARF, a Brookhaven, PA, was sentenced to 45 years in prison, 10 years of supervised release, in order to pay $5,000 fines by U.S. District Judge Michael M. Baleson for his role of the leader of the Original Block Hustlers, or OBH, a violent group trafficking organization that doubled as a group of aspiring rap artists in Philadelphia. Two of West's co-defendants, Jamal Blanding, 38, and Jameel Hickens, 43, both of Philadelphia, PA, were recently sentenced and received 25 and 20 years in prison, respectively. In November 2019, all three defendants, plus an additional defendant who is still awaiting sentencing, Hans Gadsden, 36, also of Philadelphia, were convicted after a 2.5-week trial on charges that included conspiracy to distribute controlled substances and distribution or of possession with intent to distribute cocaine, crack, and methamphetamines. Several other co-defendants pled guilty prior to trial. In total, 9 defendants connected to OBH were charged in a 16-count second superseding indictment in August 2019. All 9 were convicted or pled guilty. At least March 2017 through June of 2018, OBH poisoned the Philadelphia community by importing dangerous narcotics, including large quantities of methamphetamine and cocaine from California to Philadelphia, and then selling those drugs in the Philadelphia area. To further their drug business, OBH employed, feared, intimidation, and violence. West was the driving force behind the violence character of OBH and routinely posted rap videos and other messages on social media in which he communicated threats of violence and which demonstrated his power and authority within the organization. According to court documents, West ordered a member of the organization to murder a former member of the group identified as RJ because West believed RJ was involved with West's enemy and playing both sides of the fence. RJ was ultimately shot multiple times and died. In 2017 of September, officers and detectives from the Philadelphia Police Department executed a search warrant of 3234 North Sydenham Street. Pretty sure I butchered that, but which was a property used by members of OBH to sell drugs and store drugs. During the execution of the search warrant, numerous drugs were seized, including approximately 62 grams of cocaine base, 229 grams of heroin, and 48 grams of methamphetamine mixture. The officers also seized $8,101 from the residence. In May of 2018, FBI agents executed a search warrant on an apartment on Columbus Boulevard, another property used by OBH to sell drugs. During the execution of the search warrant, the FBI and seized 10 kilograms of cocaine, nearly 6 pounds of pure methamphetamine, and $20,000 in cash. Now, I could keep reading this on and on. It's a pretty long indictment. It pretty much breaks down everything, but I think the video says it for itself. I think everything that we've seen kind of says it for itself, why he got 45 years. He was pretty violent and he had no remorse. He went on video and talked about it. So, you know, when the government sees something like that, they consider you a menace to society. They're going to do their best to try to put you away. He's 36, 38 years old. 45 years in the feds is a long time. I mean, if we're doing the math, just shorthand off the back of the dome, 83 is when he would roughly be out. You're talking about 10 years of supervised parole following that, which means you'll be 93. There's no way he's going to make it through that, unfortunately, and I feel like that's ultimately what the government wants to do. Not to everyone, but to criminals like this. They're going to sentence you like a tree. They're going to make an example out of you just to show other people not to do the same thing. We don't want you making rap videos and songs about the crimes you're committing. Rollo is an Atlanta rapper who was signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 label, as well as his own Famerica Records. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He is best known for being Mr. Dog Food. He beefed with Young Thug back in the day. He's been on countless interviews saying that he hated him. He used to shoot at him every time he saw him. You know, it's pretty much documented. He always also talks about being a street guy, talking about making $2 million in the streets and everything else. He's known to fly on private jets. He didn't want to live in a regular house. He'd rather live in the apartments because he knew how everybody was rocking in there. But according to the Hip Hop DX article, Rollo was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for his marijuana trafficking case. If you didn't know, he was caught in the airport with, I think, about $2 million in weed on him. According to the article, Rollo was arrested in 2018 after federal agents accused him of trafficking over $2 million in weed, marijuana. The Atlanta native has been in DeKalb County Jail awaiting trial ever since and finally saw his day in court 2 months ago. Please keep in mind this is an old article. According to the Instagram post shared on Wednesday night, June 1st, Rollo has just been sentenced to 8 years in federal prison, but there's a silver lining. He's been beyond bars for so long, the judge granted him some time served. As expected in the caption, the judge sentenced Rollo to 8 years in federal prison. He was given over 4 years credit time served. The BOP has also credited him 1 and 1.5 years for good time. He was recommended 1-year ankle monitor after the halfway house approved his house address, which will bring him home to us late next year. But our goal is for him to complete his GED and RDAP drug program so we can get another year off his sentence. That will bring him home to us in less than a year. We need prayer. And then there's the picture of Rollo with the money. Now, Rollo's name has been brought up a couple more times since he's been locked up. There's been snitch allegations. He's coming home sooner than expected. I think ultimately the snitch allegations were ruled out by 1090 Jake in a video where he pretty much said that Rollo didn't snitch. But Rollo probably won't be home for another couple years. Probably not until approximately, I say 2026, but I could be wrong. But ultimately it's another story about a rapper that, had the opportunity to make it out. Another artist by Gucci Mane. I think this is maybe the third artist on this list that is by Gucci Mane. So I'm not quite sure what that means, but rather than taking the opportunity, he was still in the streets. So it's just quite unfortunate. Now that will conclude part 2 of this documentary. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Part 3 will be dropping soon. Please be sure to share if you haven't already, and just stay on the lookout. Part 3 is on the way. This is Life as We Know It, and until the next video, I am out.